The Nagakiba, the katana she tells you not to worry about. They're just a friend. But in all seriousness, what's some great Ash of Wars for this thing? Starting off, when it comes to katanas, they're very much at home with blood. Now, most blood Ash of Wars require you to sacrifice some of your own blood to cause the enemy to hemorrhage their own, like a crackhead at a post-apocalyptic pharmacy. So while Bloody Slash and Seppuku may get the spotlight most of the time, in the corner is Blood Tax ominously smiling, because Blood Tax causes bleeding to the enemy and healing to you, much kinder than the regular tax service, which just bends you over and causes bleeding. But setting aside the jokes, blood tax is actually very good because it works in a few ways. You're still getting the usual blood affinity like all the other blood Ash of Wars, so the bleed buildup is still insanely good. You're not costing yourself any health, and because it does 4 hits, it applies bleed pretty quickly to enemies. This also pairs very well with talismans like Rotten Sword Insignia, which boosts your attack power after consecutive hits, and 1 blood tax is enough to proc that. Because blood tax also heals you, it can keep you going in boss fights much longer than other Ash of Wars and save you your flasks, and this also pairs well with other talismans like Ritual Sword Talisman, because it's easy to stay at full health again, buffing your overall damage. So while it may not be an Ash of War that does a massive damage number up front, there's a lot working behind the scenes with a blood tax. Radagon here is also immune to bleed, but due to all the other benefits that it gives you, it's still a great choice even in situations where the boss or enemy may be immune to bleed, so definitely keep a blood tax on your radar. And because the Nagakiba has insane reach, the stabs are also just very effective. Next up, Flaming Strike. Honestly, one of my favorite Ash of Wars for a lot of weapons, because who doesn't love burning absolutely everything and anything?
May chaos take the world!
Maybe I've spent far too much time with Shruberi, but anyway, Flaming Strike, a 2-part Ash of War. The first is basically a wider version of Catch Flame, and then the second part is the actual flaming swing of the weapon. So you want to get the full combo off for maximum damage. It also coats your weapon in fire, so you get a boost for a while afterwards as well. Very useful. You can take a few routes with this, particularly on a Faith build. You can then pair it with other pyromancy spells and buffs like Flame Grant Me Strength. Fire Scorpion Talisman is a perfect pairing, and in your crack bottle you can chuck the Flame Shrouding Crack tier. It all just adds up and you'll be slaughtering bosses and enemies in no time. Of course, assuming they don't have massive fire resistance, but hey, that's why you keep a bunch of Ash of Wars around, different strokes for different bosses here, so we shall see in the DLC how flames perform compared to blood and the rest. But over to the next one, should fire not be the go, we have Frost, the complete opposite, and Frost Ash of Wars are a bit lacking. Holy damage in the game may be absolutely useless, but Frost takes the winning spot for no Ash of Wars. We have Hoarfrost Stomp and Chilling Mist. Quite the selection, I know. Whatever shall we decide to go with? Well, it doesn't really matter. Hoarfrost Stomp was nerfed, but still usable and can be good for large groups of enemies or very large bosses. Chilling Mist makes it super easy to apply Frost, and just like Flaming Strike coats your weapon in fire, Chilling Mist coats your weapon in Frost for a while afterwards. So really the choice is yours. I was using Chilling Mist here, but Frost a very powerful and effective status effect, particularly when you're faced with bosses that are immune to bleed, so definitely keep Frost in your back pocket. Maybe we'll see some new Frost Ash of Wars in the DLC, or maybe Holy will be finally good. What would you prefer, actually? And we also can't forget about just a straight-up keen Nagakiba, keeping it simple, keeping it basic, but still very effective. And for this, we go with Piercing Fang. A great range on Piercing Fang. It ignores shields, because it just don't give a damn, and it's pretty effective at getting staggers in, so you can get those sweet critical hits. You, of course, still have the built-in bleed, so you're not losing that, and that actually goes for all of the previous ones as well. Flaming Strike, you still have the bleed. Chilling Mist, you have Frost and bleed, and here you also have a bleed. You always have bleed with katanas, okay? But Piercing Fang, super fun to use. Go full out on the dex. Be a dex degenerate, okay? Go slay some bosses.